Remember 3 seconds.
Five, four, three, two, one. You're live with Neve. This is Live with Neve. Iconic musicians, comedians, and entertainers of all types. Interviews, comedy, and God knows what else. Hold on!
All right, hi everybody. Here you are. You are on High in the Highlands Live with Neve, and I'm here with David Ioza, and we're talking drumsticks. For everybody in my show who enjoys music and is a drummer, you'll probably find this interesting. Dave, tell me, amidst the drummer in the background, tell me, how did you get started with this?
Pretty innocently, 1977 in a New Jersey concert hall, the iconic Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Must have attended 100 shows there. I lived in North Jersey at that time, and that was like the home away from home for live music. And sitting front row for the first time in my life. And the concert was a British band called Bebop Deluxe.
Great.
In the middle was Styx, who were opening, breaking the Grand Illusion record.
Okay.
So it was weird that they weren't headlining. And a New York City band called The Dictators.
Okay, I remember this.
And sitting front row, I grabbed guitar picks from The Dictators and Styx. But as the evening wore on, late in the concert, a broken drumstick came just rolling into my lap. And that became the start of, I think, the world's biggest collection. It's definitely the start of the world's greatest hobby.
So, how many do you have currently?
It could change with the mail when I get home, but I would say 3,400 and change right now.
Okay, so you have 6,800 total. What is this?
No, the 3,400 sticks.
Oh, okay.
You know, I count them by the stick because keep in mind at a concert, the guy's
Sure.
not throwing two,
Right.
he's throwing one. And if I do something through the mail with a drummer, sometimes he'll mail me 5 or 6 different sticks he has. So,
Cool.
you know,
Yeah,
I
those
just choose.
endorsements are good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I just choose to document the amount of sticks versus the sort of pairs of sticks.
So, thinking about the number of sticks, then, how many bands does that translate? Do you have
I think
multiple?
the 3,400 translates to about 2,000 different drummers.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And
because I have a website, and on my website, I don't list every stick, but I list every drummer alphabetically.
okay,
Easier to look for a drummer
Sure.
you know that you want to see if he's in the collection by going alphabetically as opposed to chronologically or any other way.
right.
So I just go alphabetized by the drummer's last name.
And how many times have you done this where you've just reached out to people? Most drummers you reach out to pretty cool about it?
I would say I've probably only been turned down by 2 or 3 drummers in my life where I was like, no. You know,
I'm curious. Who are those?
Vinnie Caliuta,
Okay.
Great drummer. He was appearing with Jeff Beck at the PNC Center, which you know well.
Oh yes, great drummer.
And I was backstage after the show, a guest of Jeff Beck's singer, Jimmy Hall, who only sings on a couple songs. You know, Beck's mostly instrumental, but
Right.
on the songs he sang, Jimmy was the vocalist. But he had me there as a guest, and when I told Vinny about my collection, he, to paraphrase, like, Dave, what you have is building equity for you, and I'm not part of that equity, so no thank you.
Interesting.
You know, so the only one that really brought it down to finances like that. And then Bill Bruford, who was, of course, with Yes and a bunch of other bands, he actually responded to my email and just said, no, I don't have the ability or desire to mail them overseas, from his base in England. But obviously, if I send emails or Facebook messages to drummers, if they don't reply,
Right.
I don't take that as a no. It's just they never responded. But those two actually said no.
Do you know Andre Chumley? Tech
No.
for Yes.
No.
Anyway, he's got. I've interviewed him before. We're friends. We kind of became friends over love of Frank Zappa's music.
Okay.
And he knows all things. He's a guitar tech for Yes, and he's a guitar tech for some of Frank Zappa's people, Adrian Ballou. He knows everybody. I was thinking that would be the guy I could maybe get a stick for you for one tour.
Yeah, Alan White, I have drumsticks from. If he's that current drummer.
Right.
I did see the last version that came to the Count Basie in Red Bank, which was called ARW, whatever.
Right.
Anderson, Rabin, and Layton, and the drummer they had. Guess this to be.
I think it was Pat Mascaletto, wasn't it?
No, it was. Gosh, it wasn't that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so how many is the world record currently?
There's a guy that has the Guinness Book of World Records, and it's his website documents his collection a little upwards of 1,800.
Okay.
So I feel like I almost got it doubled as far as quantity goes.
Right.
Yet Guinness Book of World Records wants a fee to have their people count everything.
How much do they want?
A couple of thousand. And not that that's unfair.
No, it's interesting though.
But at this point of my life, I'd rather spend that couple thousand on live music.
Mm-hmm.
I'll worry about that record when I'm
Right.
too old to stand up for shows anymore or something like that. It's just.
To me, it's one of those whimsical things. We all collect things. I have guitars. My girlfriend, I jokingly tease her because my mom sucks me girlfriend. Every time I come home with new guitars, she's like cool about it. She's like, "You got another one." And I tell you the truth is, when I turn the lights out, they make babies, and you get one more, they sneak in and you know. So, but she's great about that. We all collect things because we like them. And, I don't know, it gives us something to do. Why not? We have a short life.
It's a great hobby because literally at night sometimes I'll be searching websites and Facebook pages for drummers I forgot about or drummers I didn't know, and I'll write to them. I just stumbled upon a Wikipedia page that listed every band ever that played the Top of the Pop show on British TV.
Right.
And it's like a treasure trove because now I'm going to start looking into those bands.
Right.
Half of them I may have seen and I just forgot about them. If they're British based, obviously they don't tour here as often as the American bands.
Do you have Zach?
Zach Starkey?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Well, tell me a little bit about your how you got into getting Ringos. That's a whole story in itself.
Yeah, well, Zach Starkey was actually, people know him as the drummer of the Who, but he was playing at Asbury Park Stone Pony with Johnny Marr and the Healers, Johnny being the guitar player from the Smiths.
Right.
And I don't think there was 100 people in that crowd. I mean, it wasn't well sold. And Zach took me on the bus and signed sticks, and we probably talked for an hour on his tour bus.
Nice.
But I did ask him the question, and I didn't ask him to help me get sticks from his father, Ringo Starr, but I said, do you think I'll ever be able to get sticks from Ringo Starr for my collection? And he laughed and said, no, that.
Do they ever show up on eBay?
They do, but I'm not like a buyer. Like,
right. I mean, what would a stick from Ringo be worth?
I guess if the provenance is there, I mean, probably $1,000, 800. I mean, I mean, you see something of John Bonham in that ballpark. You see something of Keith Moon in that ballpark. I would say Ringo's is the third. But Zach told me Ringo won't hand sign anything, that he was screwed over in a charity and refuses to sign things. But he told me it would never happen. And then I always hoped it would happen. And I had posted on Facebook when I was near 2000, and I was after a big name drummer for number 2000. I'm just big on the numbers, 1984 had to be a David Bowie drummer,
Right.
2000, had to be a big name, type of thing. And I was contacted by a guy named Gary Astridge, who is the curator of Ringo's equipment, which means he's got it all in a warehouse in Buffalo. And when Ringo says, I want to use this specific kit, This guy dusts it off, brings it to the tour, tells the road crew how to set it up every night because it's got to be exacting standards the way it's set up. And then he said to me, that Ringo's aware of your collection because, I showed it to him and, he'd like to participate. He doesn't sign, so would sticks he used with a certificate of authenticity as for what show he used them at, as well as his signature stick with his name and the star symbol on it. Would that be good enough for 2,000? And I agree that was just fine. I jumped out of my shoes. It's just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty cool.
And again, with numbers, I think you're familiar with Bobby Z from
Yes.
Prince's band.
Prince, absolutely.
I've been speaking to him over the last 2 weeks, so I finally made contact with him. And I said, hey, the number 1999 for the Prince song,
Right.
I want that in your signature, and then I'm going to rejuggle my spreadsheet to make sure that your stick is number 1999.
Oh, right on.
In the
That's
collection,
very cool.
yeah. So I play with the numbers that way.
Right.
It's cool. Neil Peart from Rush had to be 2112.
Right. So everybody, if you're watching, you're here on Live with Neve, and you're talking to Dave Ioza. He has the largest unofficial record of drumsticks anywhere in the world. His site, where's your website?
davesontour.com.
There you go, davesontour.com. And for a friend of mine watching, CK Cushions, he's the author of Nothing's Bad Luck, like Warren T-Bone. And he's about to, next year, will be coming out with a book about John Bonham, the legend, the myth, the man about town. He's a great author. The level of detail in his Warren T-Bone book was exceptional.
I haven't read it, but I'll look for it now.
I know that I talked to him recently. He's interviewed over 4,500 people who are involved with John Bonham's life. It would be by far the most exhausting interview that's ever been done. Series of interviews. And we'll have CK on next year. Chad, we'll look forward to seeing you in October. Hopefully COVID will be done and we can hang together again. So tell me, how many more targets are left that you have? Hundreds, thousands? It's hard because so many greats are passing away.
I mean,
Is there anybody you really want other than, say, Bruford or the other? Who was it?
Vinnie Colaiuta.
Vinnie Colaiuta.
Yeah, like their no's are fine. I mean, I'm never gonna have every drummer in the world. So
it's funny to me because I've run into Vinnie a couple times. I never asked him to sign anything, but he always seemed like a pretty nice guy. And I could see him being Vinnie Colaiuta. Every second of his day is paid for.
And it could have been my mistake talking about the depth of the collection before I asked him to sign a stick, because his answer about equity, I think when I had this collection in the 1500s, so about 50% of what I had, the Hard Rock Cafe offered me 5 figures for it.
Right.
Just to buy the whole thing, so they had material to display in their various locations around. And I'm not interested in selling it. Hand it to my children.
I was going to say, for your kids, that would be very good. Tell me, what do your kids think about? How old are your kids?
My daughter's 25 and my son is 20. They're into it. Like, my daughter can't wait to see this video. She lives in England, so Diana, you'll see this when you're in England or when you come back here in January.
See you at some time.
Michael's into it a little bit. Of course, he wants his drummers.
Who does he like?
Blink 182, Rage Against the Machine.
They're good drummers.
And I'm not going for the quality of the drummer. I'm more about the name. It's just a drummer I don't have. So everybody's a target. Everybody that has a pair of sticks is a target.
Well, I thought you were waiting years to get my signature. I mean, really?
Months.
Months. No, I thought it was decades. No, I guess not.
I'm older now. I might be confused.
I get confused too. These are the days, the years, the weeks.
Neil Peart. You're confused with names now.
Yeah.
The Neil's
That's
confused
6
me.
steps.
Neil Smith from
Neil Smith.
Dallas Cooper's band.
What's the guy? I don't know. I think it was Neil Van Erdy. That was the guy. So we're getting to the point where I'm going to go ahead and give him some sticks.
Wow.
And for all of those watching, anyhow, there's a pair of sticks. They have technically been played.
Okay.
And the great thing, I have to do a pitch. I am an endorser of True Axis drumsticks. If you want to find out why they're so good, call me. I'll tell you briefly, it's the balance point of the drumstick. So you look at it like that. Hey, man, what's up? Happy New Year, buddy. Good to see you. See you, man. So basically, with this drumstick, you have none in your collection unless they have a true axis. They're balanced. The balance point's at a different point. Normally, if you were to play a stick, it wouldn't have half of the feel this does because there's a weight inside it.
Okay.
And if we told you the process, we'd have to kill you.
All right.
Dave Hewlett, wherever you are, you're getting your free ad here today. I'm kidding you. Dave Hewlett developed these sticks. They're called True Axis. It's kind of cool from my standpoint. I doubt you have a set, although every drummer who plays them says, "Oh man, what's the deal with them?" I've had a lot of people. I've given several pairs to drummers, and I just happen to have a Sharpie here. Unless you have a certified elections, New Jersey Elections Commission certified one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my handwriting is.
Well, you know, the autograph is always right, so do what you gotta do, but maybe hand print a band name. Because I'm gonna list you with a band at my website.
Absolutely.
I don't go with the independent or the educator.
Right,
I force their hand and say, hey, you know, I want a reference to somebody reading the website and identify with what band you're in. But you asked about targets, I would say Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones would be a big target of mine.
Absolutely.
Dave Grohl. You know, everybody knows him as the Foo Fighters leader, of course, but I know him as their Nirvana drummer.
Right.
Nirvana was a big band for me
Right.
at that time, and I don't have his stick. Interesting enough, I sent a priority mailbox, self-addressed to me, addressed at his studio, with $15 in cash in it. And I told them about the collection, and I said, hey, if you're not into it, hand that 15 to a street musician for me.
Right.
But I'm hoping you and your Foo Fighters drummer, Taylor,
Right.
would consider joining the collection. So, hey, maybe the mailman will surprise me sometime. I mean, sometimes things do come as surprises.
No, right. You never know. I would
But,
think
it's been 3 years
from what
now.
I've heard,
So,
they're pretty good guys.
yeah.
You know what? Send it again. Send it to the publicist again.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, especially COVID, things are so strange. Okay, for anybody watching this, I'm signing this for my boys in Tampa, the Shake Society,
All right.
and my friends here in the Highlands, the Grimmer twins, and then the Brothers Grimm. You guys are all out there. Happy New Year's to you. Amazing we haven't played it at all this year.
Plenty of room on the stick for names. The mailman does surprise me now and then, you know,
Sure.
because, like, you know, if the drummer's out of town, I know that everybody wants something from him, you know.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I've learned what that game is, but I offer to
it's
cover
all
the
how you
postage
approach
back.
it.
You know,
You
it's
know,
like I don't want to buy them from your website, but you know, and I don't want new ones. I want the ones you're ready to throw away,
right.
and I'm going to pay the postage to get them to me. You know, like that's the extent of it. And many answer, yeah, they're on the way. You know, or don't worry about the postage, or here's my PayPal address. Hit me with $10. I mean, you know, different ways. But I guess the fun thing is when you don't hear from the drummer, yes or no, and the package is on your doorstep. Like
That is cool.
you know, DJ Bonebreak is the drummer from the LA punk band X.
Okay, good.
Big band for me back.
Oh
in the
yeah, I
day,
remember that scene.
Yeah, and they came unannounced. Like he never answered my emails, he never answered my messages, but they just showed up. And when I wrote them to say they arrived, that opened the channel of communication between us. And I've probably been his guest at 20 different X appearances since.
Excellent.
So I've made some true friends,
That's
that
excellent.
are in the music world through this, and
Well, great. I'm gonna have to call you for new guests.
I've got a boatload of
How
them.
about, what we could do is we could have you come on like on a regular basis, maybe once a month, and we'll get one of your friends to come on with you, do a three-way round table.
They've always got something to talk about,
Right. And you can
any avenue of free promotion
absolutely
works,
most people. Yeah, we'll have fun. We really about just sitting around talking. So you guys have been watching the show, it's just basically a couple of musicians hanging out. Dave, I'm sorry, you reached out, I think. Did I reach out to you first, or did you reach
No,
out?
I reached out to you
Okay.
from Facebook. I
Right.
saw you were a drummer. I saw you were New Jersey based now. And I said, hey, let me tell this guy about my collection. And then you told me what you do
Right.
with your podcast. And I'm like, yeah, that's up my
Well,
alley.
it was cool because being a drummer, I don't know any drummer. Goombi, if you watch this, man, you got to tell me if you think I'm going to try and get Goombi to have his drummer. You've gotten drummer from Alabama. Have you?
I have somebody from Al. I can't tell you who his current band is, or
Okay. Hey,
is it
Goombi,
Antonio Sanchez.
I'm going to call you. My friend hopefully will get to see this. We just had him on this week and checked on your page or on my page, Goombi Ortiz.
Okay.
There's an interview with him. There's links. He has a new thing out with the Black Honkies in Tampa for all you Tampa music people. And he also has his project that he's just opened up on my memory of it's failing. It's New Year's Eve, and I'm really heavy into the tea and coffee right now. Okay, so at any rate, everybody, I hope you're enjoying the show. Dave has the largest collection of drumsticks as far as we can tell, based on the current estimates and the Guinness record. He has twice as many. And the sticking point, and many of you may be unaware of this, is the Guinness has to be paid to document this. Again, do they do this on a per person basis? Is it based on the number of sticks? How do they justify it?
I mean, I would guess their expense would be based upon time and location. They're based in Europe, so they're probably hiring somebody in the United States to do it for them.
Right.
But I would think it's going to take a good day's work to sit there and hand count 3,600 sticks, and
Well, maybe there's I don't know. One thing I'm thinking, people, if you're out there, check out Joe's website and perhaps a GoFundMe page was formed by maybe Joe or one of the people who enjoy his page. Or you never know how that works, but I'll talk to him about it later. A project like this, I know as a drummer, I'd give him a few bucks. Heck, these sticks are worth more than a couple of dollars, and I think most drummers would say, "Sure, man, to get the record, I'll pony up a little money." So any of my buddies out there, pony up something. And I'm thinking about how much I can pony up to help with that effort to get it going. Anyhow,
but the record's the icing on the cake. I'm enjoying the cake right now.
of course. I'm enjoying the cake. Valerie's cooking something good. We're here at the Water Witch Cafe, and we're just hanging out, smelling off. That wasn't that good.
It's like, whatever's cooking, I'm buying when we're done here.
Oh, no. I got to buy it. You're in my territory here. That happened. So everybody watching, we are at the Water Witch. Happy New Year. I am up here. We're talking to Dave about drumsticks. Tell me, who's the most interesting and fun drummer, or just, like, who's interesting and just, like, really fun? Like, drummers have a lot of stereotypes. Who's the most stereotypical, maniacal drummer? You got Keith Moon, who's long since passed away. I know that mode's kind of gone out of style, although I channel him on nights when the moon is full.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of characters there. You mentioned Pat Mastelotto earlier,
Right.
and you were thinking he might have been with the Yes Tour, and Pat is of course with King Crimson now,
Right.
and he was at the Saint in Asbury Park with a band called the Stickmen,
Yes, Tony Levin.
and
He has
very
a book
small
out,
scale, and Pat at that, and I got a photo of him holding all these sticks, but he hand signed 15 different drumsticks for me at that show. But those 15 drumsticks I already had. He mailed them to me, but they're his signature stick. different models. This King Crimson tour, this tour. He had a Buddy Rich model that he used at one time. So I had all these different sticks that he had mailed me
Right.
from his home in Austin, Texas, but he never hand signed any of them. So I brought them to the show, and I said, "Dad, it's great that you keep mailing me drumsticks, but even though this is because the Guinness Book of World Records is hand signed drumsticks, so maybe my 3,600, there's 100 that aren't signed,
But you're still up over the 1,900 mark.
Yeah.
Remember that, people. You are sitting here talking to the man who has the largest drum collection in the world, as far as we know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And Pat hand signed every one, and it was great. And he gave me a new pair from the the most current King Crimson tour.
How is it happening now during COVID? Do you think people are responding quicker to this?
They're home based.
But yeah.
So people are home based. I guess the communication's easier, but then the reluctance is to stand in line at the post office to mail them out. So, that's understood. You asked for a great story. Here's another one. The drummer's name is Johnny Blitz. He was with a punk band out of Cleveland called the Dead Boys.
I know the Dead Boys.
Right,
Okay.
so they were, 1978. I'm seeing them at CBGB's.
Wow.
And,
Early punk for those of you who are.
and he's throwing every stick out after every song. My buddy's got one. I got two. The guy next to me has about 8 of them.
That's that good drumstick guy.
Well, all of a sudden, the roadie comes over and grabs those 8 out of that guy's hand and brings them back to
Of course
Johnny
they
Blitz.
do.
But I held on to mine too. And
Yeah, I would have hit it.
that's a Bright
Slide
and
down the
Bar
back.
and Long Branch, which is
Oh, yeah, I
another
know, I
band
played
you know
those,
about,
yeah.
right? Right. In
Sadly,
2 summers ago,
It's closed by the way people watching.
well, 2 summers ago, the Dead Boys came back with a 40th anniversary tour of one of their records, and Johnny hand signed those drumsticks 39 years later from when I taught
Now
them
that is
at
a great story.
CBG. And mentioning catching them out of my 3,600,
Do you have
probably
Buddy
about
Rich?
80 of them have been caught in the air at shows, so.
That's cool.
So I kind of bold-faced those in my spreadsheet.
Right.
If it was airborne and I came down with it, there it is.
Do you have John Bonham?
No, you're not. Keith Blue. No, you're not.
I don't want to just hit you with all these dead people.
Well,
because-
they're hard. I mean, I know Jason Bonham well.
Okay.
He's signed many a stick for me. We've sat on many a tour bus. He's a big coffee guy. We drink coffee together. And he told me, and I had interviewed him once, and when the tape was off, I said, I got this collection that you know about. I said, your father's drumsticks. He said, Dave, the roadies stole everything in '99. They raided the storage shed and everything was gone. So even me as a son, I don't have Davis drumsticks.
You see, that story is for you, Rick Davis. Rick Davis is a good friend of mine. He's often on the show. He's probably watching right now. Can't really tell. So for everybody who's watching, Happy New Year's. Dave and I, we could talk probably all day. Both of us have stuff to do. So thank you for joining us on Live with Me. Dave, one more time, how's the best way to get hold of you for people watching?
On Facebook, Dave Iozza. New Jersey based, so you see, I don't think there's too many Dave Iozzas on Facebook.
IOZZIA.
Right. And I also have a website called davesontour.com, and there'll be a link to my personal email. Reach out. I mean, I'm hoping there's a couple drummers seeing this that are like jealous of Neil that they're not in the collection like he is, and they're going to reach out to me.
There you go, people. Gotta be rocking.
Yeah.
Remember, True Axis drumsticks, recommended by me, the one and only Neil Van Erdy.
And the only pair so far in my collection. I got plenty
That's right.
of Bickfords and plenty of Pro Marks, but none of those.
Dave Hewlett, I'm going to put you in touch with this gentleman. Dave Hewlett has written a book on snare drum rhythms, and is really a killer educator and marimba player. Graduate of Berkeley. Also, I think did his time at Rochester as well. Educator nationally known. And I will tell anybody watching this, if you want to learn how to play snare drum, check out Dave Hewlett. I don't care what style you play. And if you use True Axis drumsticks, they will be much easier than anything else you've used. Balance point's different, and that's enough commercial for now. We're signing off live with Neve, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
They sentenced me to 20 years of boredom for trying to change the system from within. I'm coming now, I'm coming to reward them.
Questions, comments, click on the chat box.